insurance, this is Tony Kindness, and today I want to talk to you about the questions that you should ask before joining a brokerage or an agency as a producer, especially as a brand new producer, first producer or agent type job. These are the questions that you should ask. Quick disclaimer, I have never worked a day of my life in an agency or a brokerage. I've served them as a sales manager, as an underwriter. I've helped them with staffing and with other general things, retaining their millennials, etc. But in this particular case, I did a lot of research for this one, and I asked a trusted group of friends what questions they recommend asking. So number one, the first thing that I would ask during the interview, right? You come in, you answer their questions, and when you get a chance to ask your own questions, number one question I would ask is, what does your training program look like? Is it formal? Is it written down? Can you show it to me? How is that program going to turn me into a successful producer? How is that program going to turn me from somebody who's never done insurance or has never sold insurance, somebody who does that successfully? Number two, is there a mentoring program? And this is really, really important. And the reality is the great majority of agencies or brokerages, in my experience, training program is mediocre to non-existent, but with some luck mediocre. Mentoring program is usually non-existent. What I mean by mentoring program is a program where you get paired with a successful producer who built their own book at some point, preferably in the last 10 to 15 years, not 30 years ago, because the world's very different today. So somebody who built their own book, not somebody who inherited a book from dad, somebody who built their own book, and this person has responsibility to mentor you and help you build your book. Important follow-up questions to that question: who mentors? Is it producers? Is it service people, account managers, account executives, etc.? Is it the owner? Who mentors? The right answer, if you are trying to build a book, if you are going to be a producer, the right answer is a successful producer who built their own book in the last 10 years. Also, how are those people chosen? Do they volunteer to be mentors? Do they get forced to be mentors? Are they excited to mentor? Have those people build their own book from scratch? Did I mention that enough times? Also, how does the commission share work during the mentoring program? Basically, what you're trying to get to is, will my mentor have skin in the game in growing my book? Because if you think about it, the right mentor is a producer who's already done it before and not too long ago. And that producer is actively growing their own book. Their incentives, even if they're the nicest guy in the world, the nicest woman in the world, their incentive is very much on continuing to grow their own book. Every minute that they spend helping you build your book is a minute they're spending away from building their own book. Salespeople are competitive. So if there's no incentive, preferably a positive incentive, not a negative one, if there's no incentive for them to help you grow your book, if they're not benefiting from it financially, they're not going to put their heart into it. What is the survival rate for new producers, especially for new producers coming in without prior experience as a producer? If they dance around this question, if they don't measure it, if it's great, but they can't tell you a number, what you want is them to pull out actual stats and show you how successful they've been in growing new producers. The reality is most agencies, most brokerages are not really good at building new producers. Don't waste your time with an agency that doesn't have a provable record of success when it comes to building new producers. If what you want to do is be a producer, your chances of success are super low. Remember, there are areas of our industry, I think that's more on the life insurance side, but on the P&C side, it's probably similar. I need to look up the numbers. There are areas of our industry where there's a 92% failure rate in the first 3 years. Think about that. Only 8% of agents, and that's in the life space, last more than 3 years. In P&C, probably a little bit better, but not a ton better. Don't waste time if your chances of success are 8%. Is there a rookie to partner program? This one's not an absolute necessary question, but it is a very helpful question. And basically what you're looking for, is there a documented program that is written down that if you follow, it guides you from day one to becoming a partner at the agency and owning your own book or part of the agency? I have only once seen such a thing. So it's very, very rare. If there is a rookie to partner program, you definitely want to know about it and you want to get all the details you can. what are the short and long-term goals of the agency or brokerage? So you want to understand if their goal is to grow, to be stable, to go into a new niche. How do you fit into those goals? Are those goals something that you can be excited for and something that you would love to be a part of? What are the previous goals of the agency that were met? What about goals that were not met? Just about any agency should have any successful agency should have some goals that they can excitedly tell you how well it went, and hopefully they can be honest about the ones that did not go well. If they say nothing's ever gone wrong, they're probably not being super honest with you. What are my duties when it comes to servicing the book? Basically, as the producer or agent, you want to spend as much of your time, as close to 100% of your time, selling. Service side work should be handled by CSRs, account managers, etc. So you need to understand at what point the CSRs or the account managers step in. This varies radically in different agencies. In some agencies, a lot of questions get immediately turned to the producer, even if it wasn't needed. In other agencies, the account managers and CSRs are absolute rock stars, and really you don't have to touch the accounts except when you sell them and maybe at renewal time or when something goes wrong. That's the kind of agency you want to work at if you want to focus on growing your book as much as possible. What characteristics do you find that most successful producers here have? Listen and see if you match those characters. Be honest with them about how well you match those characteristics or not, and where you're gonna need help. Don't oversell yourself on this one. Where do you see me in 5 years? That gives you a good idea on whether they just need a warm body making calls and they know that the survival rate is super low, and the reality is they need you to do the job for a year, burn out, and they'll replace you with the next warm body that can fuck a mirror that comes in a Craigslist spot. Or if there is a plan to help you grow within the agency. You want an agency, a brokerage that has a plan. Do you have a validation schedule? And what book size or what other milestones do I need to hit by when? Make sure that's in writing. Basic validation is in most brokerage side jobs, especially commercial ones, most brokerage side jobs, you get a base salary that declines over 3 to 5 years. 3, I think, is the most common number. So you need to understand exactly what that looks like, exactly when your salary will decline, because you need to be at the point to pay yourself on commissions, and you need to understand what you need to hit in order to survive those first 3 to 5 years. Is the brokerage focused on a specific line or lines of business? You want to understand if they're dedicated to trucking, or if they're dedicated to construction, or if they're a personal lines agency, or if they're a main street type of agency, or if they do mostly E&O, right? You want to understand what they do, and are those businesses that you can become excited about, that you already maybe have some experience in? Are those businesses that you would be excited to work with, and businesses that you would be excited to learn a lot about and hang out with? And finally, are you looking for somebody to expand into other niches, or are you looking to further grow in those existing niches? Basically, are they expecting you to, if their thing is trucking, is the idea of hiring you to teach you trucking and go deeper into a trucking space, or is the idea to have you do other lines of business to diversify the agency, right? And depending on the answer to that, then the training should be very, very different, and the expectations should be very, very different, right? One thing is hiring a producer to do, if we specialize in construction and we're hiring you specifically to do construction, there's a good chance that we know how to train you in construction. But if historically we've only done construction and energy, and we're hiring you to expand into trucking, and you don't have that experience prior, probably not the best fit. So anyway, I would highly encourage you to ask the tough questions before accepting a producer role, because those are the roles, in my experience and what I've seen, that have the lowest survival rate in our industry. And you're gonna put in a lot of hours to build that book of business. Do it somewhere where you can and will be successful. Thank you.